Hi everyone, welcome back to Tech Functions 101. So today's guest is someone who blends technical growth, community leadership, and creative storytelling. Meet Sreya, a recent graduate from University of Wisconsin-Madison, where she actually double majored in computer science and data science, and is also an incoming software engineer at Northwest Mutual. She is also has been an ambassador for Simplify and School of Computer Data and Information Science at her university. She's also been mentoring her peers along the journey and is also a part of various different communities. And she recently also started creating content on TikTok, sharing her tips for other students who are starting their journeys. And she's someone who's traveled 22 countries now while pursuing her passion. So originally from Bangalore, India, which is known as the Silicon Valley of the East. Shreya has worked everywhere from healthcare startups to financial services and much more. And she is a living proof that you don't have to choose this one path in tech. In this episode, we'll be exploring her journey, of how she became a leader in multiple spaces, and what advice she has for building an authentic community in tech. So let's dive in. Hi, Shreya. Welcome to Tech Functions.
Thank you so much for having me, and that was a wonderful introduction. I wouldn't have been able to give myself that great of an introduction, so
Thank you. It's great to have you. So let's go back into when you were starting your journey. So can you walk us through a little bit about how you decided to actually get into computer science and data science, and what kind of motivated you to stay in this path through those early years?
yeah, of course. So I actually didn't take any CS classes in school. And during the pandemic, actually, my mom is a teacher and she had to transfer all of her business from in person to online. And she was struggling doing that, so I started to help her. And one of the things that actually led me to computer science was designing her website. So I digitized all of her records of 20 years of teaching and got testimonials from students and other people and made a website for her. Mind you, I had no CS background, so that was a really hard task. And I kind of watched YouTube videos and researched everything myself. And the more I started doing it, the more I enjoyed it. So I actually went into computer science with all intentions of being a front-end developer or a web developer. And that's why I picked up the major because I honestly I couldn't find a front-end developer major in my university. So I decided to go with computer science. And I'm honestly very glad I did because I learned a lot more. And now I have different interests apart from front-end developing. And the reason I picked up data science is because it felt very natural to do it with computer science. For example, with all of my mom's website data, I had thousands and thousands of data, but I didn't know what to do with it. So it felt right to take data science to analyze trends and come up with patterns on how to optimize her website, her teaching, and the scores her students have given her with her teaching score. So I think it just made the most sense to me, and I'm glad I did both of those because it's helping me try out new fields within computer science and data science.
And I think that also, like, while you were starting out building that website, I think that might have also came with a little bit of curiosity, and also a little bit of
Uh-huh.
passion for like technology. And I think that's what
Uh-huh.
actually gets you started. And from there, it's just going onwards.
Yeah, no, it was just one thing that I needed. And then after that, I was hooked to making websites and I continued making them for really stupid things like birthday party invitation. And it almost became an addiction.
But that's how it's all started. So that's good.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're an international student, I believe. So you came from Bangalore to University of Wisconsin-Madison. So what were some biggest challenges that you faced from that, like both academically and like with your lifestyle?
I think with my lifestyle, I was trying to find a balance with doing everything. Because you go from staying at home where you have all your meals cooked for you and you do very minimal household chores to going to that environment where everything is in your hands, like one bad decision and it affects you immediately. So it took me a while to figure out how to balance my lifestyle. Like my first semester just consisted of me falling sick all the time because I was just always trying pulling all-nighters and trying to balance cooking and eating properly and eating the right food as well. That was the hardest challenge, and I think it's still a challenge for me. I'm constantly learning on how to have a balanced lifestyle, like go to the gym and continue all my passions while also trying to be the best version of myself academically. But with respect to academics, I didn't face that many challenges because I went to an IB school actually. So everything I learned was a very like holistic, worldwide like knowledge, I guess. So nothing strikes me immediately apart from writing the date differently. I grew up writing date, month, year in Madison. Well, in America, they write month, date, year. So just small things like that that I didn't, that took me a while to adjust and remember consciously, like, oh, this is how I do it here. But apart from that, mainly the challenges I faced were lifestyle oriented rather than academically.
Yeah, and I think that's something that even if you're not an international student, like a lot of students deal with like just balancing their time, trying to do all the things
Uh-huh.
they want to, trying to keep up with your hobbies.
Uh-huh.
So that's definitely a challenge for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. So when you were starting out your journey again, what were some of, I guess, the big things that helped you feel like you belonged in the tech space, like in computer science, data science, especially when you were surrounded by people who might have already like grew up in the States, and like already had programming experience or like coding experience. Like, how was that?
It was definitely challenging and a lot of imposter syndrome all the time. But something that really helped me was like finding people, upperclassmen actually, who were in the same position as I am. So they were like honestly my mentors and they helped me throughout the process. Like it was like, don't take this class, this won't help you, but take this instead. Or do it with this professor, do it with that professor. So I think the best thing I did was befriending an upperclassman who also came from India and who also had no coding background until she got to Madison. So I was kind of following her footsteps, if anything, like taking her advice whenever I needed it. And also just realizing that there are a lot of people like me and everyone is new to this environment. That was something that really helped me. Because whenever I thought of it as like, wow, they've been doing this for years, I would get really intimidated and worried about my skills. But when I thought of it as everyone's new to college, everyone's just a first year here, it made it a lot more reassuring for myself. So that took me a while to like actively think of things that way rather than compare myself to others. But some of the few things that helped me were befriending upperclassmen in the same position.
Yeah, and I think it's all about just like attempting to reach out. Like they're willing to help us
Uh-huh.
out, but all you have to do is just take that one step and actually reach out. I've also had the chance to kind of connect with some alumni and also like learn about
Hmm.
how they went through things. And again, like same thing, they've been giving me advice like, oh, like take this course. It's good for you if you want to do
Exactly.
this. So yeah.
I think the hardest thing is like the first step, which is reaching out. And once you reach out, it's fine. So that's also something that took me a while to understand. Like, don't be scared to reach out to whoever. The worst thing they'll do is ignore you. So,
Exactly. So, do you have any advice for like students who are thinking about like getting into coding, but they also feel like, oh, I might be too behind, or I'm not like skilled enough, or I don't have that like technical knowledge. So like, how do you push past that mindset?
it's definitely a challenge and it keeps coming back because once you see someone succeeding or doing things that you want to do, it's very easy to compare yourself to them. Like I said, I think the best thing for me was reminding myself that we're all new here or we're all like right now I know that when I start working, I'm gonna be like, wow, like they have everything figured out. But I have to remind myself that we're all new grads, we just graduated. We're all figuring it out together or separately, and no one really knows what they're doing. So it's constantly giving yourself reassurance and also being sure of your skills so that no matter what someone says to you, you're confident with yourself. So something for that was a huge challenge for me as well because I was like, yeah, I know Python. But whenever like someone would be like, I did this using Python, I was like, I don't know if I know how to do that. So staying confident in your skills definitely helps because then nothing can really put you down. And you can look at every conversation as an opportunity to grow rather than compare yourself to their skill.
Yeah, that's really true. I also feel like if you just take that one step and like actually learn a language, then I think after, if you continue to like pursue that field, you will gain like more experience along the way, like build more
Mhm.
projects and get that confidence along the way as well.
Exactly. Like nothing happens overnight, sadly.
So now let's talk a little bit about your internship journey. You've done quite a few internships. So starting with your work in Bangalore, you did, I believe, two internships there. And then you moved into doing like internship in Chicago, and also in like near your university and also in your university. So how were those experiences like, and like what were your main responsibilities, and what were some of the biggest things that you learned from them?
I think the biggest thing I learned from doing all of these internships was that no two internships are the same. Because the first time I did my first ever internship, I was pretty confident going into the second one that I knew what I was doing. But I got there and realized like every company works differently, and the things you do in one may be looked down upon in other ones. So constantly reminding myself not to act like I know everything because I've done previous internships and acting like someone that's new there and new to this space. That helped me learn a lot from all of these things. But my main responsibilities for most of the internships was software engineering and stuff on the back end. For example, like one internship was for a tech startup, and I was scrubbing PII data from the information they had. So a lot of back end development and integrating APIs together in databases is what I've done in my internships.
Oh, that's cool. Going a little bit depth into that, like you've also worked in like healthcare startups, and also in like more technical companies. So were there any like differences that you found, or like if you could maybe also go in like depth of like one or two internships of like what you actually did in those?
Yeah, so I did two last summer. Like one of them was more so like a project I did for a company, and the other one was a full 12-week internship. And one of them was at a healthcare startup, and the other one was at a Fortune 500 financial firm. So I think the main difference between both of those was the pace of which things happen. Like at the startup, I interned there only for a month, and I had to finish my project within a month. Whereas when I interned at the Fortune 500 company, I had a more holistic internship where I had opportunities to network with people in the company, like even the VP of my department. I attended talks with the CEO and met so many new people while also working on two projects, not one, but two. So the main difference is, I think, the environment the company's in, whether it's a big company or a small company, the way things operate are very different. And sometimes the deliverables are similar, but the way they want it to happen is different. Like, for example, with scrubbing PII data, I had like particular instructions as to how to do it with regex. But when I worked on something similar at a different company, I had completely new instructions and they wanted like an AI bot that would do it instead. So it depends on the company's needs and what they're trying to expand into, is what I realized. But the main difference, I think, is the scale of the company and the projects they're working on right now.
But I think like if it's like a small
Hmm.
startup company they work with, you really get to work with like each person in the like startup. Like it could even be like the founder, CEO, and you
Hmm.
get like so many perspectives, even like software engineers, and they're all kind of like you're working together as a team to kind of like achieve the same goal. It's like a
Yeah.
very small team that you're working.
Hmm.
So moving on, how do you think your academic coursework in computer science, data science in university like helped you prepare for like the real world internship like challenges or even help like actually get into those internships? Like were there any also like any student groups or anything that you joined in particular in your university years that kind of that you think kind of helped you get there? And where did you find the gaps that you would like fill on your own?
I think the main thing I learned from my courses was version control, like using GitHub and using terminal and other things. But the biggest gap I found is that companies do things very differently. So yeah, of course my courses helped me like learn programming languages, but the projects I did with them for coursework were nowhere near what I was doing at work. So, like for example, one of our projects was implementing Dijkstra's algorithm, but at work you're not implementing Dijkstra's algorithm, you're probably using it to do something else. So it was just the difference in the scope of projects, but my courses definitely taught me the programming language, taught me about data structures, algorithms, and the projects I did for my coursework definitely helped. But I don't think they were as real world oriented as I thought they would be when I first started out. But then after I did a couple of internships, I was like, okay, like my course is teaching me all of this, but this is something I need to learn on the job. Like I'm not going to take it from school and bring it here. But something that joining rewriting the code actually helped me a lot because I was constantly active on the Slack channel and I would ask like all kinds of questions like, hi, has anyone done this interview before? Or how do people study for this? And I think having a group of people that are constantly looking out for you and want the best for you is very beneficial. And with a community like rewriting the code, there's so many of us that there's always someone that has something to share to you, and it's always positive. So I, I think that was the best decision I made, and I joined rewriting the code only junior year. So I wish I joined earlier, so I, gained more from the community. But I like that they let you stay on even after you've graduated. And I'm already learning so much from the members from there, and I got to meet you as well. So everyone's very helpful, and everyone wants the best for each other.
Mhm. And I think that's how, like, that's the importance of like having a community. Like, you're all just helping each other
Hmm.
grow and learning along the way as well. So that's great to hear.
Exactly.
Yeah. And going on to your point, like, did you join any student groups or anything, or did any projects in your university years as well that kind of you think
Mhm.
helped you get like those internships?
I did all of like my course projects, obviously. And apart from that, I worked on like some passion projects for myself. Like one of them was improving my mom's website because I'd already like started so long ago when I knew nothing about CS. So it made sense to come back to it now and integrate all of the things she wanted, which was like scheduling classes, sending worksheets, and having her own chat bot. So that was one of my passion projects. But apart from that, I was part of Wacom, which is ACM's Women in Tech Computing, I think. Don't quote me on that. But I joined their club and I was able to meet a lot of people from there. But the other experience which led me to network within my university and outside of my new university was being Simplify's campus ambassador. I worked with so many people from different universities as well as clubs in my university. So learning from their experiences really helped me understand what I want from my degree.
Like you mentioned how you were improving your mom's website. I think that's really great. Like going back to the projects that you already worked on, like starting off and just like
Hmm.
improving things from it as you learn. And
Yeah,
also like when the website is used by like other users, I think there's a greater impact and also like a motivation for you to kind of keep making it better
I
since it's
agreed.
like,
But it was also like a trip down memory lane to see how badly I'd made the website then. So I was able to like redeem myself after I started college.
yeah, it's all about like learning, and that shows like that you've been learning and doing progress along the way.
Hmm. Yeah.
So you've done internships in Bangalore's tech scene and also worked in the States. So what were some of the key differences that you observed between like their tech ecosystems? Like, was there any difference between the two countries' ecosystems?
I think I don't know if this is generally with the two countries or if it was just my experience with working with a company here and then in the States. But I felt like I was treated more as like an employee when I was working in the States. People looked at me like I remember they asked me to join like clubs the company had, and I was like, I'm only here for like 2 months, 3 months max. And they were like, no, we still want you to join all of those. So it felt like I was already a full-time employee, even though I was just an intern. So the way I was treated was very different. Whereas over here, like I was definitely treated as someone, a student that just is doing work in their summer for us. And not that there was anything wrong with it. People like handed things to me easier, if that makes sense. They spoon-fed me what to do. But I do wish I had the opportunity to like join company-wide events here rather than only in the States.
Yeah, and I think like the company events actually is a way for like companies to kind of share how their interns are kind of
Hmm.
like going through their experiences and their internships at their company. So
Uh-huh.
it's just a way to kind of share that. But that would be something that I would also like to be a part of. So yeah.
Uh-huh, exactly. And it also made me like feel more of a it made me feel more comfortable definitely because over
Mhm.
here there was like only one other intern in the company I was working in Bangalore, and we just messaged each other. I never even met the other intern. Whereas over there I was like so close to all of the interns, and a couple of them are still my really good friends. Like we keep in touch.
So moving on, like looking back at like all those different internships that you did, what do you think helped you succeed as an intern? Like, were there any specific challenges that you had to like go through?
I think the main thing was like time management and like promising people when you promise someone something that you'll have this done by the end of the day, it's actually finishing it by the end of the day and not just saying that to get them to stop talking about it. But more than like technical skills, I think soft skills make a huge difference. Like the way you treat people is very important. For example, when I was entering my last week of the internship, I made sure to send a thank you message to everyone I spoke to during the internship. So I'd actually like kept track of all the people I met and what they taught me, and I like sent them personalized messages. And I'm sure that goes a long way because I'd love to receive something like that in the future if I ever mentored someone or spoke to someone about something. And just the small things like showing up to meetings on time, being prepared for meetings, and not taking it casually because you are getting paid to do work for the company. So treating it like your full-time job already rather than an internship. Because it's very easy to slack off when you're an intern. It's very easy to get caught up in moving to a new city and like making new friends and exploring that city. But I think finding a balance between doing the work you were assigned to do as well as your personal life is very important.
Yeah, and I really like the point that you shared, like giving like even a thank you message to like the
Hmm.
people that you worked with at the end. And I think the employers do look at that and then they do want
Hmm.
to kind of going on to the future, they might want to like invite you back into their company as a full-time
Uh-huh.
role as well. So I think those are like small things that I think really important to
Yeah.
do.
I also think like the way you leave a company is very important.
Mm.
Like, yeah, obviously the work you do is what you've been there for, but the way you say bye and the way you like appreciate the company and talk about them once you're done with them is very important.
Yeah, I think they want to see that you're actually interested in the role in the company.
Yeah, exactly.
So now that you've graduated and even like I guess throughout your university, how did you keep up with all like the changes in tech industry? As we all know, it's like changing rapidly,
Uh-huh.
as we speak as well. So have you worked on like different frameworks, languages, like to keep up with that? And like yeah, how did you learn them?
I think doing like different roles, like internships or even jobs, that's how you keep up with what the world is going with. For example, like my first internship to my last internship are very different. The programming languages I used are very different because so much has changed from 2021 to 2025. So that was something that kept me going. And also, probably not a conventional answer, but TikTok. My algorithm knows me really well now, and it gives me like updates on like the tech industry and other social media platforms as well. Yeah, sometimes like you see fake news on there, but if you follow like reputed sources, you honestly learn a lot through those videos as well.
And I feel like you can also kind of train the algorithm a little bit to give it what you want.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or just follow people that you know are giving you credited news rather than fake news. And then you wake up and you do your morning scroll and you know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. So just a follow-up question. So I know you said that in your internship, like you had multiple languages that you worked with, like different language, different frameworks. So did you already learn those like prior to the internship, or was it like similar languages that you learned and then you went in there and like completely learned it?
For example, like JavaScript, I hadn't worked with at all until I started my internship. So it took me a while to understand what I'm doing and my strategy to learn. But one thing that my mentor said that really stuck with me was, you're not learning this to write an exam. Because at first I was like taking notes for everything. I was like, yeah, so this is the syntax for this. And it was not efficient at all, especially when you're at an internship only for 12 weeks. You don't have time to make notes for a language you're learning on the go. So what they said really resonated with me because I was able to shift my mindset. I didn't look at it as like I'm going to be quizzed or asked questions about, but rather I need to use this to complete my project. Of course, I still had my notes, but they weren't like I was taking an exam and they weren't as detailed. They were more so for me to understand what I was doing. But something that really stuck with me, and I'm sure will stick with a lot of people, is when you're learning all these new technologies, don't look at it as you're taking an exam because I tend to worry a lot about exams and I get exam anxiety. So it's a lot easier when I'm not looking at it that way and looking at it as something I'm learning new for fun, you know?
And I think like as students, we're so into like just studying and like exam and like the
Uh-huh,
university
exactly.
lifestyle. So then when we move to
Uh-huh.
internships, we forget to realize that it's like different, you know?
Yeah, it's hard to switch gears instantly, but once you do, your job gets a lot better and you're happier at work.
So now let's talk a little bit about your leadership roles. So you've been super active in like campus leadership roles. So let's start with your role as CDIS ambassador, where you helped show students that they belong.
Mhm.
So how was that experience like?
That was honestly something I didn't expect to be doing during my 4 years. So when I got the opportunity, I was like, yeah, this sounds so fun. A lot of my involvement with them was, for example, I made a couple of reels for their Instagram page to show them a day in my life and a day in my life at the Grace Hopper conference. Apart from that, like I did a bunch of interviews with people, like external people that are looking for people within the university they can speak to, or people within the university. Like one of them was a marketing firm that was working with the university. So I spoke to them and they asked about my experience. Apart from that, it was just like giving ideas of events that could help people feel like they belong. I personally, when I first joined college, I didn't feel the best. I was always intimidated by the people around me. So I think by like even small things like showing like a day in your life or a day at a conference goes a long way because I would have loved to see those kind of videos when I was in university.
Yeah, and I think it's small initiatives like that that actually make a
Hmm.
huge difference for students that are like starting off or like coming to university in their first years. I think
Uh-huh.
like we don't really realize it now that we're going on to other years, but it makes a huge impact for them.
Yeah, and just the smallest thing like watching someone's like daily routine before I joined university would have helped me a lot and would have like erased a lot of the anxiety I had because I went in blind knowing nothing.
You mentioned the Grace Hopper Celebration 2024. I know you participate in that, and that's the largest tech conference for women. So how was your experience there?
I had a great time. I actually met one of my closest friends there. So it was a conference where I was able to meet so many people that were in the same boat as me, which I don't think I've ever been able to do before. And fun fact, I actually came back from the conference and cried because I wanted to go back. But I had a great time meeting people from different companies, different universities, and even within my university, I hadn't met some of the girls I was going with. And apart from that, just the way the conference worked, like everything was operated by people that look like us, that have been in our shoes, and I got to attend a lot of like inspiring talks that I still think about sometimes. So,
Actually going into those conferences, you get to just build that network. And I think that takes you a long way. And you don't realize that on the
yeah,
spot. But I think after
no,
that, if you
agreed.
keep in touch with like the people that you met, it can take you a long way.
Yeah, and it was also just so eye-opening because obviously I've never been to anything like that before, and it's not your regular career fair, which I've been to a bunch of career fairs in my university and I didn't feel the same way at the conference. So it was nice to see like everyone uplifting each other and everyone wanting the best for each other.
And so you were also involved in like Society of Women Engineers and also rewriting the code community. So how do you think those communities like what do you think those communities meant to like your development, both personally and professionally?
They definitely made me more confident. It felt like I had like a lot of people cheering for me all the time. Because if you go onto our like rewriting the code Slack group, we have a whole Slack channel called Community Wins, and you can post what you think is a win for you, and there are so many people rooting for you. I didn't have that earlier. I kind of just told my parents what my achievement was, but having these communities has shown me that anything is a win. Like the smallest win goes a long way, and you don't have to have like big wins to make a name for yourself. Even the small wins, they just stack up. And then you have all these things that you're proud of, and you can look back on with the people who are just as proud.
And I think if you're in the right community, with those people who are always trying to grow with you, that's
Uh-huh.
like they're always kind of just rooting for you. And it doesn't seem like
Exactly.
a big thing to like others, but I think when you personally get like that support and like that cheering from others, it like just makes you a lot more confident, like you said.
Yeah, like even like what you're doing, I I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do this if I wasn't part of RTC. So
Yeah, like we wouldn't have met if it were not for RCC.
exactly. So it's a great place to like meet people that have similar beliefs to you and want the same thing, but also want the best for you.
Yeah. So you've also served as a Simplify campus ambassador. I personally also use Simplify, so it's really
Oh,
cool.
yay.
So how did you help other students like navigate through job searches and internship prep from that? What were some like did you have any challenges while you were doing that? And like what did you see that most students struggled with in that like phase?
Yeah, my main role with Simplify was to talk about how their tool can save you hours and hours while applying to jobs. So I actually partnered with a lot of clubs on campus and was the guest speaker for a lot of their events, where I talked about how Simplify can benefit you in the job search. Something that I was actually surprised to see is that a lot of students hadn't been using Simplify. I started using Simplify my junior year, and I think that's why I landed an internship. I was able to work on so many things at the same time while also apply to jobs properly rather than just fill out information unknowingly. But that was something I was surprised to see. But apart from that, I realized that a lot of people have the same struggle, which is applying to jobs. Because it's very time consuming. You spend hours applying to only get rejected sometimes or to get like an automated assessment. And there's no instant reward. And nowadays we're so used to instant gratification with like Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever. So that was something that I learned from this experience that people are actually struggling. People, including myself, like we all struggle with this because it's a very disheartening process and it takes a lot of time to get that one offer you want. So definitely what Simplify is doing, I love and I'm so glad that I was able to be their campus ambassador because I was able to like show so many people in campus within our campus that you can use this and you'll feel a lot better mentally and you'll send out more applications and you'll be more intentional with your applications. So it was nice to meet people that were in a similar boat and I was able to help them. And it was also nice to just speak at all these clubs. It helped me with my public speaking and other soft skills.
For me personally too, I think I like how it's really easy to use Simplify. Like just a Chrome
Hmm.
extension, you can add it in. And my personal
Yeah.
favorite feature is how it like autofills your application.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I've been using it for a year now, but I
Oh,
love it. So,
wonderful. No, I agree. It saved me so much time.
so beyond just like resume lines, what did you personally gain from like being involved in all these communities, like and like clubs and stuff? And or, like how did the leadership roles kind of change you a little bit?
I mean, apart from meeting like new people I wouldn't have met otherwise, I think it helped me find like another passion of mine, which is sharing the information I have with people creatively. Like when I was working for Simplify, I had the opportunity to make like PowerPoint slides to talk about Simplify, and I got very into those. So I think it's just helping me get my creative side out. Like it's like an outlet for me. And that goes back to like why I started computer science anyway, which was with all intention to be a front-end developer. I'd like to say I'm a creative person, but this is a new passion of mine.
Yeah, I think you're definitely a creative person, like even with how you started how you started like sharing, tips and tricks from like social media through TikTok. I
Thank
think
you.
that's a great
Thank you
initiative
so
too.
much.
So let's talk content creation since we're on the topic.
Hmm.
So you started so you started posting on TikTok where you share a little bit of your tech journey, your journey throughout university, and you went beyond. And so like what made you decide how like starting to content create?
I started by making videos for my school, like the School of Computer Data and Information Science, which is when I made like a day in my life at the Grace Hopper Conference and a day in my life as a student. And I really enjoyed making those. Apart from just like recording my day, I enjoyed editing it and rewatching it and making sure everything looks the way I wanted it to look. And something that made the most sense was I also like watching these kind of videos on TikTok. Like my feed is just career advice or tech advice and other things that I've been searching up. So it felt right for me to give back to the community in a way, like share my experience. And I also think it's very valuable, like looking at other people's journey, because it helps you understand that what you're going through is normal. And I wanted to be that person for a lot of people. I've had like a lot of like my juniors message me in the past and been like, oh, like, how did you get through this or how did you get through that? And that made me realize that I wasn't the only one that went through it, as well as there are a lot of people out there that have similar questions. So I took what I was passionate about, which was creating videos and editing and stuff, and something that I was already experiencing, which was being a new grad and just graduating, trying to find a job and then finding the job. And I started creating content on TikTok.
I've looked at your content and I think
Thank
those are like
you.
it's great the content that you create, like even the
Thank you
reels
so
and
much.
posts. So I think you're definitely out there helping students, even like me
Thank
quickly. So
you.
thank you for doing
Th-
that. And so, like, what sort of videos and content do you usually post for like the viewers here watching who don't know much about your TikTok?
Mhm.
And who are you hoping to reach like from your TikTok account?
So I post a lot of like tech content, not necessarily like reviewing tech products, but rather breaking into tech and career tips as well as classes tips, like CS classes tips. Most of us tend to take the same classes, like all of us take object-oriented programming, all of us take data structures and algorithms, and I share my experience with those classes as well as navigating internships, on-campus jobs, and other things that I've done during my 4 years. And the community I'm trying to target with this is people that were in the same shoes as me, which was trying to understand how to break into the industry or trying to understand what they like in the industry. I'm sure if you've gone through my page, there isn't one thing I'm focused on. I've done various different experiences. So I was looking for someone like this during my 4 years to understand what they learned from each experience. So I'm hoping to give back and produce content that my past self would have thanked me for. So
Yeah, and I like how this is something you've done in university, so you're just continuing your passion. For me, when I
yeah.
started like this YouTube channel, it was just from passion
Hmm.
and like I did not know how to edit a video.
Uh-huh.
I remember taking like
Uh-huh.
10 like a whole day to edit like a 10-minute video. So that was annoying.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah. It shows how passionate you are, though.
yeah, and I think along the way, like you just keep learning, you try to get faster and you develop those skills as well. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
if you like
Yeah.
it, you'll make it through, you know.
Exactly. I agree.
So from your content creation journey so far, is there anything like surprising that you found in it, like any lessons that you learned or any like unexpected challenges that you came across?
I think the biggest lesson I've learned is the videos I've put in like the most effort where I've scripted everything, like written a script and I'm trying to keep up with the script, haven't done the best as
Mhm.
compared to videos where I've just authentically started talking about something that I had a problem with or sharing my journey. So it made me understand that everything doesn't have to be perfect. And as a perfectionist, it's really hard to swallow that pill. So that's something I'm still trying to understand. And I think I've gotten better at like coming up with more natural content rather than scripting an entire video and making sure I'm on track and re-recording constantly to make sure it fits the way I wanted it to fit. That's been something that I didn't learn earlier, and I'm glad I learned it the hard way.
Yeah, that's actually something that I'm also learning. Because I'm
Uh-huh.
like the same way. I like to script my video, edit them, like make it perfect. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'll try to go on that advice.
It's definitely hard to not do that.
Yeah, yeah, especially when you're like used to being that perfectionist and doing that for each of your videos.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Yeah.
when it comes to like your passion project, it's harder to not be a perfectionist, is
Mhm.
what I've realized.
Yeah, but I think from like a user's point of view as well, like when you're reviewing, I think we do want like content creators to just be like as real as they are and just kind of show
Mhm.
them their real self. So
Yeah.
so going a little bit back into like your leadership, I know that you also like to mentor a lot of students. And I have seen your top mate as well, where you like mentor students, you have like where you do like resume reviews and stuff. So what kind of mentoring sessions do you usually offer? And like have you if you have done any like mentorship sessions, what do you think most students like tend to ask? Like what do you see any like common theme or challenges?
Yeah, I as of now I do like tech talks where I tell you, well, you can ask me whatever question and I'll give you my honest answer based on my experience. And I've also been doing resume reviews. I actually had one right before our meeting today. So it's been really rewarding because I get to be on the other side of it. And when I was trying to figure out my way to break into the industry, I was messaging people on LinkedIn and trying to get 15 minutes with them for them to review my resume or for them to give me some advice. So it's nice like being on the other side, and TopMate makes it really easy to connect with students and for them to connect with me and for me to connect with other people in the industry that I look up to. But something that I notice that most people struggle with is staying accountable. because it's very easy when you have like all of your coursework and you have other commitments to stay accountable to the one thing that will help you. And it's a lot of people have had like time management issues, which I also had, and it took me a while to figure out what works for me. So sharing my experience with how at first I wasn't able to balance everything to eventually balancing so many things has been really inspiring to them and has also made me feel a lot better with my time management skills. So that's something I see a lot of students asking me and asking for my advice.
From like the mentorship sessions that you do, I think in a way like the mentors also learn a little bit something from the students that they
Uh-huh.
communicate to. So in a
Yeah.
way, you're like both learning.
Yeah, and it's always nice talking to people in the same industry and in the same field as you, because there's always so much to learn from each other.
Mhm. Yeah, and I like how you mentioned about like the biggest challenge being like the time management. That's something that I'm also struggling with right now, but I think
Uh-huh.
it's like a learning process. Like you just kind of keep
Yeah.
trying different things, trying to see what works for you. So
Uh-huh. And the thing is, like, no one can do it for you. Like, you're the only one that can fix that problem for yourself. So it takes a while to figure out what works for you. But once you have it, you know exactly what to do.
and then bringing that to the next question. So, how did you
Uh-huh.
balance your time, like being a student yourself, like while you were mentoring others, being a part of so many communities, so many programs, events, and now as a new grad as well, you're doing so many things. So, like, how do you manage your time?
Like I said earlier, it was really hard for me, but something that makes it a lot easier is when you do things that you actually like, because then it doesn't feel like you're doing a chore. It's exciting to do that activity. But I was very Notion oriented. I had my schedule planned every day, and I would go to class and then I would go to work on campus. And then after that was when I would go to my like club events or host Simplify events or meet other people that I wanted to meet during the weekend and couldn't. But also like optimizing on the weekends when you don't really have school classes to be going to, but can just focus on catching up. I would treat like Sundays as like my catch up and like finish any backlog that I had from the week, but definitely like following a schedule was what helped me. I know some people don't like having a schedule because then if they don't follow it, they feel bad about it or it just doesn't work for them. But for me, following a schedule was what kept me going and also made sure that I was able to make the most of my college experience. So it's like I said, it's finding out what works for you and then sticking with it. But for me personally, it was building my schedule. So there was flexibility and there was also time for me to do things for myself, but also things that I was interested in.
That's something that I've been trying to do as well, like scheduling. But I think along with that also comes like you have to be like disciplined to your schedule. Like you have to stay committed to your schedule. I think it's very easy to fall behind, and just be like, oh, I'll take a
Hmm.
day off and like complete
Yeah.
the work tomorrow. And then it ends up like piling up at the end. So that's definitely something that
Yeah.
requires
Yeah.
discipline. Yeah, and I think that discipline can also be powered like
Uh-huh.
by your purpose is like when you kind of don't want to do something, you can think back as to like, why did I choose to do this in the first place? You know, like why did I choose to do computer science or data science? So,
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. If you like what you're doing, then it's equal and keep yourself accountable.
so now you're headed to Northwest Mutual as a software engineering. So how do you think you ended up securing this potential full-time like through your role of internship time there?
I think, like I said, I think in one of the previous questions, being a good intern isn't necessarily like making sure you finish the project. Like, of course, it's a given, but other small things like showing up on time and following up with people, meeting different people within the company. I made sure that I met people from different departments, other interns, other new grads, and asked for advice because I was really lost during my internship. I had imposter syndrome every day. And I was also like very overwhelmed with the amount of growth that was going on. Like I was learning something new every day. So it was nice to reach out to people in the company that had advice to share. And also like attending all of these events that the way to put yourself out there. Of course, it's intimidating sometimes because you might be the only intern doing that or one of the few interns doing it. But it's a great way to network within the community, within the company, which is very important, especially if you're trying to get a return offer. a lot of people have their say when it comes to you coming back or not. So it's nice if you put yourself out there and make a name for yourself.
Yeah, and I like how you mentioned like going to events programs where you might not even belong. Like I initially when I was doing that, I was like very overwhelmed and I felt like, oh, I shouldn't be here.
Uh-huh.
But I think
Uh-huh.
like after you go into those events programs, you learn from like so many people that are more experienced than you.
Yeah.
And you kind of realize that they're also willing to help you as well. So
Exactly. And I think finding a mentor within the company is very beneficial. I had one, and she taught me everything as I worked through my way. So that's something that I'd recommend if anyone's starting an internship.
yeah, and potentially like even keeping that connection even after just that like mentorship
Uh-huh.
session. It could be helpful because then you might get like maybe a referral or something to
Yeah,
back like coming to your company that you're interested in.
exactly. Exactly.
So now that you're going into your full-time role, what are you most excited to learn about and like build in this role?
I think I'm excited to work on more projects because I enjoyed the projects I worked on last year during my internship. And yeah, they were the smaller termed projects because I wasn't there for that long. So I'm excited to see something from start to finish because one of the projects I was working on during my internship, I had to stop midway and someone else took over. So I'm excited to like do things from start to finish and work with the team on similar projects because last year when I was there, of course, I joined all of their meetings, but I didn't have much to contribute because I barely knew anything myself. Not that I know everything right now, but I think I have more experience from when I did my internship. So it'll be nice to contribute to these conversations as well.
That sounds really exciting and good luck to you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So how do you think your data science background, like I know you majored in 2 degrees, which I personally think is very impressive. Um,
Thank you.
but how has your like data science background kind of helped you approach software engineering problems like differently, maybe? Like compared to how maybe a technical person or someone without like a data science background might approach it? Like, do you see any differences between those?
It's definitely given me more exposure to the tech industry. Like I've learned a lot through my data science degree, especially with like data analytics and other statistical concepts like Monte Carlo simulation. I wouldn't have learned that with just my CS degree. So it's given me like a whole perspective of what the tech industry can really do. And I think with like machine learning now and even the rise in AI, it's nice knowing that I have a data science background where I've taken machine learning classes and stuff. So it doesn't feel completely foreign. And if I ever do want to, I still haven't figured out what specialty I want to go into CS. So if I ever do want to transition into anything else, it's nice that I have a concrete foundation now.
So, like for those students who are trying to, I guess, choose their major, like between like different tech specializations, what do you think are some questions that they should like ask themselves to kind of find their focus of interest?
Yeah, so something that helped me a lot, not that I've found my specialty already, but I made a list of like 5 things that I find interesting with respect to tech or without tech. So one of them, like I said, was creativity, like seeing something come to life. And just make a list of 5 things you're looking for with your degree or with your job, and then try out all possible avenues until you find the one that sticks. So, for example, like I was a student technology consultant for teachers and professors, and then I was a web developer. I also took notes, like I was the official note taker for my introductory to AI class. So I kind of did everything to see what I like. And I think, especially when you're in college, you have the exposure to all of these things. You can get opportunities easily as compared to once you're starting to work because you're tied down to one job. Some companies won't let you work multiple jobs, and also it's humanly impossible to work so many jobs. But when you're in university, you can take on things as the semester comes and try to figure out what works best for you, what interests you the most.
Mhm. Like I am also personally like exploring all the different tech
Uh-huh.
specialization avenues. And I
Yeah,
think it's all about just like exploring, like you said, like trying different things out. So that's currently like what I'm doing as well.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
I think like you mentioned, like it's okay to not have it all figured out even like after you graduate. I've met like some professional people who worked at like great companies for like 20, 30 years, and they're still trying to figure out what they really want to
Yeah.
do, right? So that's completely okay as well.
Yeah. And I also feel like your interests change time to time. So it's hard to choose one specialty and be like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Because for all you know, you change your mind in like 2 months and you find something else that interests you.
Yeah, and that's okay to like change as well. Like there's always
Exactly.
Yeah, there's always like that switch that you can do, especially in like the tech industry. I think there's so many
Uh-huh.
like similarities, but also like so many changes that happens over time. So I think it doesn't matter like whether you have a specialized degree, you can still try other things.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any like tech trend or challenge that like you're really keeping an eye on these days, like that you're interested in?
I've been following like the fact that GPT-5 just came out today. I've been keeping up with like what's different from the previous version and what was different from 3.5 to 4 and then 4.0 and what's best for you. I was actually explaining this to my dad yesterday because we were talking about how there's so many different LLMs and what's best for whatever task you need it. So I've been keeping up with that and seeing what's good for my field and seeing what's good for other fields and trying to understand how they're specializing something to be specific to a field.
That's really cool. I need to keep with those trends as well.
There's so many new LLMs every
Yeah.
day, so it's pretty fascinating to see.
So now moving a little bit more onto your hobbies. Outside of just tech, I know that you like to swim, play the piano, you're a sports fan, and like you mentioned, you've traveled over 22 countries now. So how are you able to like keep time for like these hobbies like while you were studying in university, and how do you think like this non-tech side of yours influenced like how you show up as a software engineer?
I think one of the hardest things for me was trying to find a balance between my hobbies as well as schoolwork. And unfortunately, I don't think I found the best balance for myself because now when I look back on the last 4 years, there's so many things I could have done differently. But with respect to like swimming and piano, I tried to do it whenever I wanted to. And when you start looking at it as a chore, as oh, I have to go swimming, then you're never gonna do it. At least I'm that kind of person. I won't do it then. But there were times where I was like, I really want to go swimming, and then I would just go swimming. So it's the more I planned doing those things, the less I did it. But when it was more spontaneous and when I felt the need to do it, I just went to the pool and swam and came back or like played the piano. With respect to like sports, I went for a lot of like games in my university. I went for the football games, hockey games, basketball games, volleyball games. And that was a good pastime for me when I was like not doing schoolwork or not working. It was something I had to look forward to. So it was like every weekend came around and I knew I'd go for a game at least. And I think the main thing what like traveling has taught me is that you'll meet people from everywhere, like especially the tech industry. Like your coworkers could be from a tech background or not from a tech background. They could be from different countries, and there's so much to learn from each other. So it definitely taught me how to be patient with other people and see them as a person rather than someone that's just helping you on a project. Because when you understand where they're coming from and understand their background, it's easier for you to connect with them as well. And other things, just like showing up on time, you wouldn't be able to travel if you didn't follow a schedule. You'd miss your flights. So just things like showing up on time and appreciating the small things, I think that came from the fact that I like traveling.
That's really nice to hear because I like after like I started my university journey, I think I have not like spent any time doing my hobbies, which is quite
Uh-huh.
bad. But I think like sometimes when you're like, oh, like let me take a little break from studying. I think for now students like me at least, I just tend to like either go on like social media, scroll,
Oh
or
yeah.
do
Oh
something
yeah.
like
Doom
that. But I
scroll.
think yeah, exactly. But I think instead of doing that, if I did spend time on like doing some hobbies, I think it would be much more fun as well, and also like a good use of
Uh-huh.
time.
Yeah, I also think like you going into it is really hard because you have to like motivate yourself to do it. But once you do it, you're really glad you did it. That's something that kept me going, but I completely agree with you. It was so much easier. It still is so much easier for me to just lay in bed and go on my phone rather than change it to my swimming costume and go swim.
Yeah, it's true. And like I'm just curious to know, like I know you said you travel so many countries. Which was your personal favorite trip?
I really enjoyed going to Estonia because they also have like a booming tech background. And they're, I don't know if that actually, I don't know if this is right, but this is what I was told there. Skype was invented in Estonia.
Okay.
So they're a lot, they have like great cybersecurity and tech stuff. So it's really nice because like this is a small country in Europe and they're so forward with their tech industry and just so much history there as well.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
So you've talked before about like leading and leading with empathy. So what does this mean to you in like the tech world, especially in like technical roles?
I think the main thing when it comes to the tech industry is people focus too hardly on their deadline, and when they don't get something done, I understand that it's not ideal, but rather than making someone feel bad about it, I love to like work through the problem with them. Because I've had group mates that have reached out to me and been like, I couldn't finish my part of the project. And I finished my, if I had already finished my part of the project, I'd been happy to like hop on a call with them and figure it out with them rather than make them feel bad or put them down. Because there's obviously a reason why they weren't able to finish something. And you don't need to know the reason. There is always a reason. So I think that's something that I wish I learned earlier on because it's very easy to be like, wow, that person didn't do their part of it, rather than looking at it as they probably had a reason as to why they didn't do it. And if I finished it, I might as well like join in. You know, we are a team after all. So,
Yeah, teamwork is a big part of engineering, and I think
uh-huh.
just any like tech career, any career overall. So that's definitely something to like practice and keep improving your team working skills.
Exactly. And it's something that you can take into your like career also, because you're
Mhm.
always going to be working with a team. The chances of you doing something alone are very slim.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, like there's a diversity of people that you work with from coming from different backgrounds, different countries. So I think you might have to like also communicate with people differently. And again, that's kind of a part of like a team working skill.
Yeah.
So what's your take on imposter syndrome, especially as like a new graduate, like or
Uh-huh.
even like as you were a university student?
This is something I haven't figured out yet, actually. Like, I spoke to so many people during my internship about how they've gotten over imposter syndrome, and I've collected everything they've said and tried out different things, but I haven't found what works for me. Something that did stick to me was when I was interviewing, I was always really nervous, and I was like, "Oh my God, there's so much power company or this recruiter holds." Something my manager during the internship told me was to look at it as me interviewing them as well, because it needs to be a good fit for me. It's very easy to say, but it was very hard for me to implement. But that's something that helped me, and it definitely calmed me down going into interviews because I didn't want to work at a company that didn't have the ideologies I wanted it to have. But apart from that, I'm still figuring it out as well. So if you have any tips, I'd love to hear.
I think I'll also try to figure it out on my own
Uh-huh.
as well. So yeah, but I like your advice that you shared. I think like I've also gotten a chance recently to like interview a few
Uh-huh.
people actually for one of my
Uh-huh.
student groups. Like it was really small.
Oh, okay.
But I
Yeah.
think from there, like what I learned is even the recruiter, like the person interviewing you in like companies, yeah, like you might get overwhelmed, like nervous, but at the end of the day, they're also just a person.
Yeah.
And yeah, they might have more experience, yeah, but I think
Uh-huh.
like recruiters also actually want you to get hired. It's not like they're not there to support
Yeah.
you. And I think that's also one of the reasons why they tell like so many students are want to like keep applying to so many positions and like actually helping them as well.
Uh-huh. Agreed. I think I saw something recently. I don't remember where it was, but it's like everyone wants the best for you. And once you start looking at things that way, it makes it a lot easier. Like, for example, the recruiter, if you do well in the interview, then they don't have to conduct any more interviews. So technically, they're also rooting for you. So it depends on how you see things. I personally haven't been able to adopt that, but I'm sure someone will be able to, and I hope to someday.
Yeah, me too. I think it comes with maybe like practice. Like I think the
Uh-huh.
more interviews you go through and like the more meet people you meet, the more better it might get.
Yeah, definitely.
So moving on, like with your background in both technical skills and community building, how do you see your career evolving over time? Oh, okay.
This is something that I'm actually really excited to see what happens. As of now, like obviously I like content creation as well. I'm excited to see if in the future I do connect both of those and do something in that area, or if I stick to just one of them, or if I stick to just being a software engineer or move into other fields. So I don't have an answer for this, but I'm just excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, and I think when you don't have everything figured out, and you just
Yeah.
kind of leave it to like where the path might go, and
Yeah.
yeah, you never know
And this
where
is like
it'll
the
take you.
first time in my life where I don't have everything like planned out and figured out. So I'm excited to see what happens now.
Yeah. And so what's one thing that you wish your freshman yourself knew, like when you were starting your journey?
Freshman year, I thought I had to have everything figured out before I came to college. So I always felt like I was on a timeline and the timeline was moving really slowly compared to other people around me. So definitely knowing that you're on your own timeline, that's something I'm still trying to learn and still trying to accept. But it's been very helpful reminding myself that this is my path and no one else's path looks like mine. Or even if it does, like their final goals might be different from my final goals. So it's reminding myself that, like what's meant for me, I will do, but what's not meant for me is not meant for me for a reason.
That's a great advice. So as we come to an end, do you have any final advice for like any students out there who is just trying to like figure their things out, like what they want to do
Mhm.
next? Especially for those students who might feel like a little unsure about like what role or field they want to go into.
Yeah, so something that I wish I heard a lot more was that you're truly not alone. Like, if you go onto YouTube and look up someone with similar background to you, you'll probably find someone sharing their journey. If you go onto Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, there's so many outlets, LinkedIn, and befriend those people, like maybe ask them to be your mentor or help you out. If they have the time and capacity to, they'll obviously take it on and they'll love to do that for you. And it's nice to learn with them and learn from other people around you. So definitely put yourself out there because the worst thing that'll happen is someone will ignore you, like I said. Otherwise, you'll find someone that'll help you through this process and you'll learn a lot from them and they'll learn a lot from you.
Yeah. And I think most people out there are actually like willing to help as well. So it's not
Hmm.
that you'll get like so many people just ignoring you or rejecting the
Yeah.
offer. And I really like your advice because me personally, like I just finished my freshman year.
Uh-huh.
And like one of the biggest realization was that again, like you said, you're not alone. Like even all the
Yeah.
courses that you're taking, everyone in engineering, like I came into my university not knowing like anyone there,
Uh-huh.
not having like any close friends. But I think
Yeah.
just having that like that mindset to be like, oh, you can just approach someone and they were actually like
Hmm.
it was pretty easy to make friends as well along the way. That's what I
Yeah.
found. And yeah, like even if you have any questions with your coursework, like you can just like simply ask anyone. Like there it's like this
Yeah.
community that you just build like without even knowing. So
Yeah, no, I agree. I think when I first started off, I also didn't know anyone in my university, so I was really intimidated. But my mom reminded me that everyone's like a potential friend if you want them to be. So someone has to take the first step, and if they don't, then you might as well.
so Sreya, that does bring us the end of this. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so
This has
much for
been
having me.
Yeah, no, thank you. And this has been a really inspiring conversation. Your journey shows a lot about how tech isn't just about fitting into a mold. It's about bringing your whole self, your curiosity, your culture, creativity, and it's all about just like bringing who you are to the table. And from software engineering to mentorship and content creation, now that you're doing, you're really crafting a path that's both like real and impactful for so
Thank you
many
so
people out
much.
there. So thank you. And
Thank
for
you
those
so
of
much.
Yeah, and for those watching, I will put Surya's account link in the description below, so make sure to check it out. And if today's video sparked something in you, whether it's sharing your story, supporting others, or just trying to do something new, go for it. Tech has room for every version of you. And thank you again for tuning into this video and subscribe to the channel to keep you up to date with more content like this. And until next time, keep learning, keep engineering, and I will see you in the next one.